What's up, guys? It's the real main event, the Rogue Soldier, the essential John L. Crossfire.
And I'm Mrs. Crossfire.
And once again, you guys are tuned into Caught
in Conversation. Shakalaka-laka.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 71 of Caught in Conversation. As always, I am the essential John L. Crossfire. First off, I need to offer a couple of apologies for a few things. First and foremost, I do apologize. This is the first episode I've done in about a month. I think it's just on a month, actually, as this episode drops. After 70 straight weeks, which I did think was kind of a pretty impressive feat in its own right. And then just general day-to-day health. Coupled with that, I kind of just needed a break. I was kind of a little bit burnt out, but hopefully next week we'll be back into the groove of things. I've got a couple of cool things lined up that I'm really hoping can come to fruition within the next couple of weeks as I record this. The second thing I need to apologize for as I record this is obviously this intro that I'm recording right now, and then the outro you're going to hear after the initial conversation that I'm about to put in this with Jake Gibson. My voice, it's shot. It's early Monday morning as I'm doing this. My vocal cords are still killing me from a very fun and successful ICW show, our last show of the year, Insane Rumble. Jake was very impressive in that show as always, but I'm using the same microphone that I used in my conversation with Jake. I'm still trying to get get into the swing of things and get master the art of the microphone, I guess. Just so, get used to being able to do it more often, because I'm not always able to, be portable and take my entire setup, especially when I'm by myself on public transport. So let me know at the end of this, what the sound quality is like for you guys. But nonetheless, we'll get moving on so we can get closer to the interview itself. The song of the week this week for this episode will be Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC. If for whatever reason you're a weirdo and you don't like music and you don't listen to music damn near religiously like myself and Jake do, and you only listen to one song this week, make it be this song, and you'll hear at the tail end of this conversation why I have picked this song. And to be honest, I'm just a nerd, and this song also makes me think of Iron Man. But the song of the week this week will be Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC. And then the match of the week this week is going to be Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman versus the Dudley Boys at ECW One Night Stand 2005. Once again, you'll understand as you get through this conversation why I've picked this match in particular. And honestly, who just doesn't love a good reunion show? And Lord knows if we had $1 for every ECW reunion over the years, they wouldn't have went bankrupt in the first place. But I digress. Once again, the match of the week for this week is going to be Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman versus the Dudley Boys at ECW One Night Stand 2005. But with all that being said, let's head over to this week's conversation. He is a multiple-time champion. He's won gold in just about everywhere he's been. I have no doubt he will continue to build on that. He is currently one half of the ICW Tag Team Champions as part of Metal Militia with his tag team partner Dozer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the problem child, Jake Gibson. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am here with the problem child, former ICW Australian champion, ICW heavyweight champion, current tag team champion, first ever Suplex and junior heavyweight champion, and former Wrestle Strong junior heavyweight champion.
That's right.
I'm hoping I didn't miss any of those.
Did you say Wrestle Strong tag team?
Tag team, yes. Yeah. I knew there was one missing there somewhere.
I'm not bragging.
Crossface Club, former tag team champions.
Yep.
I'm not rubbing that in by saying former, so please don't beat me up or whatever, because I'm not cleared to compete, as you know.
That's fine.
Now, obviously, before they hear this, I'm going to record a proper intro and outro and yada yada yada. But as we record this, backstage at ICW Insane Rumble, there's going to be lots of banging and screaming in the background. It's a wrestling show.
Yeah, nothing else. It's just a wrestling show. Don't get upset or scared.
Yeah, this is actually a family show, by the way. Despite the podcast not being a family show. But obviously, I usually send in or get people to send in questions. Watch a Mania, whatever. This is a one-take show. This is kind of spur of the moment, so I've really only got the core 5, but I have no doubt that we've got, half an hour to an hour before doors open, so I have no doubt we can shoot the shit and hopefully come out with something new. I tested these mics a few days ago. It came out clean and crisp, so hopefully my curse with technology doesn't come through and I can have a halfway decent podcast. This is like, even the acoustics right now are ringing in my ear, but...
Oh, it's all right. I'll give it the old Gibson charm and hopefully, give it a good polish and see how we go.
But obviously, I feel like the easiest way to break the ice is, Jake, what was your first wrestling memory?
Oh, wow.
This is where you're
taking me
like,
back
in my day, I used to listen to the
back
hip-hop.
in my day. Jeez. It would have been way back in the day, mid to late 90s. I'd say, but back when, do you remember Foxtel had a rival called Optus TV, right? Or at
Yes,
least
very vaguely, yes.
Vaguely, yeah. And you young...
I'm about the same age as you, but I never had, like, pay TV or anything. I was always watching at a friend's house and
it was
all
definitely,
the fun stuff.
for a short period of time, it was a privilege. I saw a little bit of it on there. Didn't really make much sense of it at the time, but I was definitely interested, right? And then one specific memory that got me completely hooked. So from that point on, obviously, because I was watching too much TV, my parents go, nah, you got to do your homework. Come on,
Go play outside.
Yeah.
Damn it! Remember those days?
Yeah. No. And so like after that, my initial exposure to the WWF was the Austin versus McMahon tape. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of like our generation's first thing is it's something to do with The Rock or Stone Cold or McMahon or
that's the thing.
Something attitude area back in my day.
Oh, believe me, if I knew ECW was a thing back then. Oh, dude, yeah.
I think I was 12 or 13 when I really first discovered ECW, so that would have been 05, 06, 07. So
yeah.
Obviously, well after the facts, but remember, video stores, what are those?
Yeah.
I remember like every VHS DVD that was ECW I could get my hands on, I was all over that. That's I still go back to the ECW stuff.
Oh, hell yeah. No, even me to this day, I watched, I've got so many of their original content, plus whatever WWE's re-released.
Yes.
But even me, like, at the time, unfortunately, my local video store didn't have much outside WWE. But in their video game area, they had ECW Anarchy Rules and ECW Hardcore Revolution, and I hide them for the night. I'm like, oh, cool, look, Taz is in this game, Tajiri's in this game. Like, that's weird.
Like, who? Why are they in this thing? Like, what is this?
They're in WWE. What is this? Like, oh, cool. Who else was in there? Dusty Rhodes, out of all people, in these games. I was like, wow, what is this game? Where's this been all my life? You know what I mean? Because, I grew up playing WWF Warzone and Attitude.
Yeah, I think the first game I ever played, it was the same thing. Went to the video game section of, I don't know if it was Civic Video or Video Easy, one of the two, and No Mercy 64. I hired that for like 2-3 months straight, and my mum just got to the point where she was like, look, like, just go outside and do something. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Me as a kid, on my games on Recycle was Pokemon Stadium, WWF, Attitude and No Mercy.
I feel like I'm talking to myself right now. Like, I've talked to a lot of people that have similar interests, but this is probably the closest it's come to my childhood, like in that order as well.
Ever since, like living with my partner now and being able to have my own man cave, I've got my N64 set up with all my classic games, I got my Dreamcast with WWF, what was it, Royal Rumble. If you've ever heard of that one.
Yes, I haven't played that one, but I have heard of it.
You have heard of that? Yeah.
A lot of people talk about that one.
They boasted that you could have 10 wrestlers in the ring at the same time, but it's a 30-man Rumble match with 16 active members of the roster only in the game. So you get duplicates all the time. It's like, what's the point of this game? It's just... It's non-stop, and there's
It's kind of funny though.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, but you like the more recent games. They cut it back to you've got a roster of 300 people, but you can only have 6 in the ring at the same time. Yeah. Like, how did we go backwards from having a roster of only 16 where you can have a maximum of 10 to no, we've got this massive roster, but only 6.
Oh, at least we don't have to wait. Remember the loading times for the entrances?
Oh,
that drives me nuts.
I still have, I don't have my 64 anymore because somehow, some way, the younger Crossfires, they blew it up. I don't know how because those things were indestructible, but I've still got my PS2 sitting next to my PS4 and I've literally got my copy of Here Comes the Pain sitting in it right now because I can't see shit, but it's shapes and colors. So for my liking, I can still do that. And even those, like the loading times, I'm just like, bro.
Yeah. Oh mate, but that game, I can wait all the time in the world for that game to load, man, because that's the, like, You've Got No Mercy, but Here Comes the Pain is top tier, as far as I'm concerned.
That's, to me, I'd go is probably Here Comes the Pain. I'm very biased to SmackDown vs. Raw 07, but I feel No Mercy 100%.
Yeah.
Has to, like, no matter which order you go through, they're definitely the three.
Oh yeah.
No matter who you ask, and it's always those three, just a different order.
07's advantage. 07's advantage over both of those is the GM mode.
Yes.
I know 06 has it and 08 has it, and I love 08 because of the ECW stuff.
Yes, that for me was the highlight of 08.
Oh yeah. But like the fact that you've got the SmackDown and Raw plus the 2B shows, I feel like they've perfected that formula before it got oversaturated with 08's version, because you've got 3 brands and only so many. There's like a lot less wrestlers on the roster.
Yeah, I used to always lose to ECW, and I'm like, they have 10 members. How am I losing?
Yeah.
But like, before we get too sidetracked, as I said, we've got about an hour, which is fine because that's how long these usually go for. But we're probably going to jump all over the place. I have ADHD, so if I do cut you off in the middle of a thought, I'm really sorry. It's not intentional. My brain just explodes. But what was really the deciding factor? Like, as you say, you kind of really got into the ECW stuff and that really hooked you. But what was the deciding factor that made you go, I want to do that, or I could do that?
Oh, okay. I've been obsessed with it ever since I was a kid, and I would drive my friends insane talking about it because they were just casual fans, right? So then, like, I remember being in year 12, my careers advisor goes, what do you want to do when you leave school? I want to be a wrestler. And she laughed at me. Again,
I'm talking to myself right now. Like, they're like, oh, we can help you become a personal trainer. And I'm like, I mean, that's fitness, but you don't understand. And they're like, it's not realistic. And I'm like,
literally. Yeah, no, so like, I didn't take it to heart or anything, but, I just kept on living my life, working, and just, I don't know, like, I'd watch it still, and one night, I'm just kind of just on my phone on Facebook, scrolling through, and I type in local wrestling, just try and look for something local, because I know it's out there. I watched, there was IWA and AWF on a Raw channel. Like, if you're going to be on TV, at least it's like the least known network on the entire Foxtel package, but at least you're on TV. Which was great. I got to see, I think it was Rob Matrix, who wrestles now as Robbie Zuko. Original Greaser.
Yes, tag team was with Tristan Slade, who was the guy that helped me get my foot in the door. So that's a nice little full circle thing in a weird way here.
Oh, I got to meet him in the locker room once, and I was like, wow, Rob Matrix, dude, how the fuck are you, I was marking out for him huge, and he was like, what the fuck? Anyway, but...
how does this kid know who I am? It's like,
on
one hand, I'm flattered, but at the same time, he's being realistic. Like, what?
I came across AWF were doing a local show, St. Mary's. So I was with my father at the time, 5-minute drive. The catch was they were bringing over Tommy Dreamer.
Nice.
Me being an ECW mark of all things, hell yeah, Convinced my old men to come because none of my last friends wanted to show up. So we got tickets, front row, sitting there, and I'm watching the show. And I'm kind of like, I can do that, surely. Like, I'm young, I'm fit, I can. What's the harm in trying it?
Give it a shot,
Give it a shot. Like, I'm doubtful. Like, I might not be able to, but if I don't try it, I'll regret it. And so a few shows later with AWF, I went for a couple of shows, just to pique my interest. And after a couple of shows, I just said, hell yeah, I'll sign up. I signed all the paperwork, gave it to TNT, and like. Yeah, let's get started. Yeah. Pop.
So what was there a specific moment at those AWF shows where it kind of flicked a switch for, I want to do that to, I'm going to do that? Because for me, like, I've told this story on the pod a bajillion times, but just to make an example, I've kind of, TLC 2, right? Edge, Spears, Jeff Hardy, and I'm like, that's fucking, like, that's the coolest thing ever. Like, I want to do that. And then a few years later, well, obviously it was the next year, but I didn't see it until a few years later, but the Edge, Eddie Guerrero, no DQ match on SmackDown. I was 11 when I first saw that, so 3 or 4 years after it happened. And that, for me, watching that match is where I was like, I don't know how, but I'm going to do this. Like, it switched from this is a dream to no, somehow, some way, that this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
So was there something on those AWF shows or IWA shows that flicked that switch, or?
I think just the initial fact that there was seemingly successful wrestling organizations out there that made me like want to come, and then watching particularly Dean Draven live, because he owned that joint, like at St. Mary's club. He just total confidence, complete badass, knocking guys' heads off their shoulders,
and he still goes and does the exact same thing all these years later, which is insane to me.
He's a master of his craft, absolutely, absolutely. So like, him being one of the standouts of that show just made me go, you know what, I'll try it, because let's be fair, like with local wrestling, you get guys that have 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, maybe they're brand new and they've just had a few matches here and there. And I could kind of tell who the new guys were.
Yes.
Because, nobody's perfect.
I mean, green's green. Like,
yeah.
I went for 3-4 years max before I had to step away. And I was barely coming into my own at the end of those 4 years.
Well, I mean, just watching a few of the youngsters on that show, like not knowing who they were or how long they trained, if they made a mistake in the match or, a botch or whatever, like me being a fan, not being completely exposed to the ins and outs of the business, I could make out those mistakes.
Yes.
If they can do that, make mistakes but still cover it and have a good entertaining match, maybe I can try it. So I feel like being that show was the switch for me. On top of Tommy Dreamer had a seminar the following night where you just had an audience, you just asked them questions and stuff like that. And that sort of just convinced me just to give it a go.
This is a complete side note, but I've had friends that have actually gone to Tommy Dreamer's seminars in the past. I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to bury them or whatever, but I've had a couple of people complain that Tommy talked too much, and I'm like, dude, I would give anything to sit in a room with him and just listen to him.
Yeah.
Spread his knowledge, and if you can get a couple of stories in while you're at it, why not?
It was 2.5 hours, something like that, and he just told me basically everything that he's gone through, his injuries, his highest accomplishments, things like that, personal stories backstage in WWE, what made him passionate about the business, and just hearing his perspective. And there was actually a group photo taken that night. Looking back at it, I haven't seen it in years, but I was surprised to see the amount of wrestlers I have become to know, me being a fan at the time. So, that pretty much speaks for itself.
No, 100%. And maybe we're just marks being marks, but it's whatever it is. If you're going to go to one of those, Tommy Dreamer, why not?
Mate, if you're in the wrestling business and you're a wrestler, you're the biggest mark of all.
And he's one of the ones that he's worked in talent relations as well at some point. So if he knows, he might know. Maybe it's different now to what they wanted back then, but he knows to an extent what they want and what to look out for. And
he's essentially talent relations now still with Impact. So
that's a very, very good point. So again, full circle for him.
Exactly.
Just went into Hall of Fame. Raven just went into the Hall of Fame. They're still all these years later. That story still relevant. So if he can still be relevant on top of everything he does behind the scenes all these years later, he's obviously done something right.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention the DDT after that ceremony popped me huge.
I was kind of looking at it online because it was the day actually of our last show here at ICW. So I missed it, and I literally was watching the Ravens thing happen on Impact social medias, and I literally jumped out of my chair backstage, and then people are like, what? And I literally looked at Nick Maltino, who he was the surprise guest that night. I didn't know he was there. What, kayfabe? I literally looked at him and I'm like, bro. And I'm showing him the video, and we're just two little kids just watching this 2-second clip on Impact's Instagram or Facebook, whatever it was. It's just insane. But my next question, because we are only asking the three, is usually what's your favorite match of all time? But just to circle back there, you were just mentioning Dean Draven. Do you have a specific favorite Dean Draven match? Because I know that you have been front and center for a lot of his great matches in the last 5-6 years, something like that. Losing the track of time because COVID's ruined it, but about 5-6 years, if not longer.
Yeah, something like that.
So from all the way of those days to a fan to actually teaming with him, and you had a fantastic match against him here in this building that we're at, that I marked out like a sumbitch watching it on the monitor because again, I'm a mark. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But like, what's your favorite Dean Draven match, either as a fan or being in the ring with him?
Oh man, that's tough because he's had so many great matches. Where do I even begin? He had a match with Mick Moretti once.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. That was back in Blacktown. I was just still new in the business. Didn't necessarily know who Mick Moretti was, but that match blew me away. Him and Giant Coyote as well for the AWF title.
Shout out to Giant Coyote. I've put him over before. He's going through a lot of shit right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's an absolute badass.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was bad, like having eyesights.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if I had to take that between losing a leg, I'd probably pick going blind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but that's just me. But shout out to Coyote. He's,
Wow, yeah,
he's going through a lot of shit right now, and he's doing it with a smile on his face.
Oh, that's the thing. Power to him, man. To be able to keep that positive attitude, man. It's something to look up to.
It
really
definitely put a lot of shit into perspective for me too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can wrestle again, and all of a sudden this dude's like, I don't know if I can walk again, and I'm like, well, fuck, maybe I don't have it too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but no, good on him for like. I keep in touch with all of his posts and everything. So the fact that he's constantly keeping us updated and showing that he's okay and he's progressing. It's amazing stuff, honestly. But with Dean, wow. Even with Russell Strong, watching him take on Banjo Powers, I'm pretty sure this was at Blue Mountains, and Banjo was maybe a year in at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he started a very similar time to me, so that would have been like 17-ish, wouldn't it?
Oh, 18? Yeah, 18.
18.
I'm not the
Because I
mean
remember that tour. I was asked by someone to do it, and I just didn't get a chance to do it. But
Yeah. No, but no, they knocked it out of the park, man. They're like all strong style and going nuts and just like not stiffing, but like they're just not holding anything back, and it was just great just to sit back as a fan and watch them tear the house down. One of my personal favorites is I got to wrestle me and Banjo versus Dean and Ryan Miller.
Yes.
Tag team title match. Didn't go all the way we hoped it would, but that didn't necessarily mean that it was bad. I kind of liked the chaoticness of the match. We got to Japanese strong style stuff, really just slugging it out, all out brawl. You know what I mean?
So very much, this is Dean Draven's match, and
Yeah.
you guys are kind of just going to follow along.
Just like I'm like watching the match back on YouTube, and just him having us both sitting in the corner. He's just slugging the crap, chopping the hell out of us. Like Banjo's in front of me, and he's getting chopped. Then he gets whipped into the opposite corner. Then he starts slugging the crap out of me, and then whips me into Banjo. Comes in with a huge clothesline. And someone comes off the ropes and then eats another one. I get a DDT. He's just wiping the floor with us, but sitting back watching it was a blast.
I absolutely love Dean, though. I've only had one interaction with him in the ring, and it's probably to kill the mystique of Dean Draven, but nicest dude ever. I took a chop for him. He's like a master at that. I don't know what happened, sweaty, whatever. His hand slipped. I guess not even Kobe Bryant hit 100% of his shots. Got me just in the throat, and he could have not been more apologetic than he was when we got backstage. And I was just like, dude, like, you're Dean Draven. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm in pain, but I wore that like a badge of honor. Like, I'm like dying, and he was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I just got chopped by Dean Draven. I don't give a fuck.
I got to work him in, was it Bombardary, I think? One-on-one. And, I don't know, I was just wearing my shirt during the match, so he just decides to rip it up and pull it above my head.
The old like hockey style
Yeah,
chicken.
it's literally like it's stuck over my chin and I can't get it off, and I'm in the corner. He's just slugging away at my chest, and I'm desperately trying to just rip my shirt off so I can get out of the corner. You know what I mean? But he's just chop. And I came back with the reddest freaking chest ever.
Oh,
but,
Jesus.
Like you said, badge of honor, man. So, yeah.
Do you have a favorite Tommy Dreamer match before I segue to the next question properly?
Ooh, that is a tough one as well, because I've seen a bunch of those.
Because you could ask me any day, and I could be like, throw out one of the ones with Raven, or
throw out that whole Raven feud was legendary. But here's one if you haven't seen it, because it's a great. I Quit match, their very last pay-per-view. Tommy Dreamer versus C.W. Anderson. I Quit, and it was Guilty as Charged 2001.
A lot of people from the 99 to the period they closed, a lot of people shit on that compared to the 97, 98 stuff, but there's a lot of fantastic. Like one for me, I don't know, we're used to on this, but like Steve Carino in
yeah.
that time frame,
Yeah.
I could go back and watch that every fucking day and not get bored.
Him and Rhino, and I think it was Cyrus, were a group, I think.
Yes, Cyrus the Virus.
Cyrus, the network, yeah.
I mean, people can joke about, Justin Credible being world champ or whatever, but for that time frame, he's putting on great matches. It was what it was.
Yeah, they were doing great matches. I think they were in a rebuilding phase because obviously they lost all the top stars, so they were just trying to rebuild. I think if they did stick around, it wouldn't have come off as bad for that time period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they've had more time to build, and having RVD would have been their top guy.
Yeah.
So even Jerry Lynn had a great run in 2000. Watching Rhino, from being a rookie to being a complete monster.
It's crazy when you go back and look at it, how green Rhino was in those last stages, and like he was the last champion, but you don't realize that because Paul Heyman, whatever you want to call him, being just the mastermind booker that he is, always did the greatest strong, and he did with every wrestler of hide the weaknesses, embellish the strengths.
Absolutely.
And Rhino, I think, is a fantastic example of that.
I've never heard Rhino cut a promo until he watched his ECW stuff, which is crazy. The guy can cut a promo, which is I never thought he could.
I showed my wife literally like 3 weeks ago the promo that he cut on how Sandman's wife's vagina smells bad.
Yeah. If I could repeat it. I think it was a pile driver through the table.
Yes, and something your wife's gash, and I'm just wow.
The one I'm thinking of, I don't know the full segment, but he gave his wife a pile driver through a table, grabs a microphone, and he goes, "Happy Mother's Day, you fucking bitch!" But no, that popped me huge. But like, watching him do a promo backstage, I think he beat. No, it was the last pay-per-view. He beat Sandman, but then I think IVD beat him. It was like this weird phase where ECW just did like a weird match after match, but there'd just be a flow in between all of them. And like he's backstage, he's smacking his hand on the walls, he's furious, he's spitting into the camera. I'm like, where has this Rhino been? I feel like he's just been handcuffed in WWE, but
it's just like this big dude that just says nothing.
Yeah, literally, he's like a bodyguard. You know what I mean? But yeah, is what it is.
But as we kind of go, we've just ranted for 23 minutes and didn't even feel it that long, so
don't mind
still
me.
Doing good.
Yeah.
If you had to pick, and not just one, but a handful of matches, what is your favorite match of all time that you've seen and had? And again, doesn't have to be one, could be a handful, top five, whatever. I don't. This is your interpretation of this question.
Okay. My I wouldn't say it's the perfect match, but something that I look to as great storytelling, drama, action, physicality. Like, it has pretty much everything that you would need in a match. Doesn't necessarily mean it's perfect or 5 stars, because I'm not Dave Meltzer. But
what the fuck is a 5-star match anyway? Like
about 15 flips and a couple of super kicks and a plancha.
I've said it so many times on this podcast in real life. I'm like, I'll take a 3-star match that takes me on an emotional roller coaster over a 5-star match where dudes are just doing shit for the sake of doing shit.
Not the sidebar, but half the crap in the Attitude Era would get like 2 stars these days, if that. Like,
well, not to sidetrack too much, but you listen to those podcasts with Jim Ross and Chris Jericho and whatever, and they're reviewing shows, and Dave rated this match 2.5 stars, and JR gets so hot.
Oh yeah,
because he's like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero wrestled at 2.5 stars. No, they fucking didn't. They're like 2 of the greatest of all time. That was fantastic.
So I don't understand. I'm just some nobody Australian wrestler, right? I'm not.
It's like a Russian cricketer.
Yeah, literally. But like, I'm not like a hot commodity in the American Indies, right? But at the same time, Dave Meltzer is just a mark that's giving his biased opinion.
Well, look at the favor that he shows to New Japan. Like,
which
if you love New Japan, good for you. But everyone has their things.
I love New Japan to an extent. I can't be oversaturated. I can't watch one promotion for too long without feeling I've overdone it. So I bounce back and forth a lot.
I feel that there's so many things that I need to catch up on, but it's just like there's so much wrestling and there's only so many times a day. Before you answer the rest of that question, I feel like I'm forever seeing you online defending Impact Wrestling on that same note, and I'm right there with you. Dave Meltzer is one that kind of shits on Impact a little, and I'm like, no, like that's some of the best shit that I've seen. Like, that's out there right now.
Oh, absolutely. No, for what they are, and they're no longer like the big budget, commodity they used to be. Not to say that they were WWE level, but obviously they've
They
got
were getting close there as the number 2 for a while.
Yeah, well, the belt's a bit tighter these days for
Thanks,
obvious
Hogan.
reasons. But for good reason. But I feel for what they are, they're in a rebuilding phase with having lost as much as they did without going completely bankrupt. They've been able to maintain a lot of top level stars while trying to build some new names. And for what they offer for what 2 hours a week, a couple of live events
easy.
here and there. It's enough. It's enough for my tolerance of wrestling in the sense of like it's not 3 hours or 5 hours or 7 hours worth of TV.
For a long time there, when I first started training, back when I was in a lot better shape than I'm in right now, and I had the world in my hands, I'm like, I wanted to make it to Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
That was my goal.
Yeah.
I was like WWE, AEW, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm going to be in Impact, and that's
Yeah.
enough for me. Like
Yeah.
Ring of Honor, stuff like that. But before I completely sidetracked that, when you mentioned Melton Mike, sincere apologies.
That's okay.
But what is your favorite match of all time?
It'd have to be Shawn Michaels versus Triple H versus Chris Benoit, WrestleMania 20.
I have talked about that match on this podcast. I don't know how many times. And
Yeah,
it's unfortunately, circumstances are what they are. It kind of gets buried, but
Yeah.
100% if you can stomach it.
Yeah, as far as I see it, it's a product of its time. It doesn't reflect what had happened after.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you can look at it in that way, where it's 2004, I think, somewhere around there, and all of these.
Yes, WrestleMania 20. Thank you, person.
Thank you, guy. And then you've got the three guys at the peak of their career. Triple H is in his prime. Shawn Michaels might be a little older, but still in his prime. Chris Benoit, peak of his career, and just they left nothing. You know what I mean?
It's a fantastic. If you were to try to define that era in like a handful of matches, I honestly, if I was me, I'd throw that in there because Triple H was kind of coming out of the Reign of Terror, brother, whatever the fuck, I don't give a shit. Like,
right.
He was having fantastic matches that entire run, and then Shawn was kind of like, he was back, but he kind of fell off a little bit after the initial feud with Triple H, and he's like, he wanted to prove he could still hang, and then Benoit had kind of finally broke the mold. He's like, I'm 5'8", dude, I'm 5'9.5". I'm bigger than that guy, so I'm like, he gives me hope.
Ditto. I'm 5'9", something with boots on too. So
that's what I mean. Like in my wrestling gear, I'm 5'9" and a quarter, whatever the fuck it is. Like,
no, but that's the thing. Like him and Benoit, Guerrero, Bryan Danielson, guys like that always broke the mold and gave me hope too. So
the rematch that they had at the following Backlash pay-per-view is fantastic as well.
Oh hell yeah! No, it held up. It definitely held up. They couldn't capture the same magic, but for what it was, no complaints.
1,000%.
I do have a close second.
Yeah.
You might be a fan of this too, knowing who you like. It'd be JBL versus Eddie Guerrero Texas Bull Rope match.
Yes.
Yes, indefinitely.
All I'm going to say is I may or may not have a bull rope coming to me at some point.
Oh.
I don't know when I'm going to get cleared, so who knows when it's going to be used, but...
Oh, okay. Volunteer. No, you never know.
But like that match, and the ending where they show the slow-mo replay and JBL's shoulder hits it, and you can't be mad.
No.
It's right there.
Right,
He touched first, and you're like, he cheated. I swear he cheated. Like, just like it's in your brain. Like, it's the evidence is right there. But JBL's just so good as a heel that you're still like, no, like it's documented. Like that's photoshopped video or something.
You know what that is? It's psychology, folks.
And again, I think Dave rated that 3.5 stars.
Oh, God.
That is 5 stars to me. That took me on the most emotional roller coaster of my life.
Yeah.
My hero had fought and fought and fought.
Yeah.
Went through addiction, won the title, and it was stripped like that.
Yep.
Didn't even pin him.
Yep. How
and then
dirty,
he loses the rematch in the cage because of fucking Kurt as the conquista. Like, this is like, I'm like 11-year-old John, like, yelling at the TV, like, fuck this guy.
No, same, man, same. I was on the Eddie Guerrero freaking bandwagon at that point in time, just watching him rise, and
it's kind of fucked that he was like gone a year and a half.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's insane.
No, that week, I know he passed away on the Monday, I think it was, but at that time I was visiting my dad on the weekends. He had the Foxtel. That's how I was watching it, so I could only ever watch the weekend reruns. And my grandfather passed away the day after I watched the memorial show for Eddie Guerrero. So that weekend's forever.
I remember I was watching it like at a buddy's house at the time, and I missed literally that week's episode. And he come to school, and he's like, Eddie's gone, and I'm like, I've never met this dude in my life. Like I've only seen him on TV, and I'm like in class, 12 years old, bawling my fucking eyes out. And teachers are like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "You don't understand. Like this wrestler passed away," and they're like, "The fuck's wrong with this kid?" And I'm like, but it still hits.
Yeah,
still hits.
I found out while I was in woodworks class, some of the boys were talking about it, and I'm like, no, that's got to be a storyline.
I had
like,
fuck. Tell me that. Like, no. He's gonna be back in he's gonna come back at the Royal Rumble, and he's gonna be a heel turn that he faked. I'm like, and I was only just kind of getting the business. I'm like, what the fuck's a heel turn? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a few years later, it was just kind of like, I think I was just in denial, and I'm like, I think you were. Like,
he's not coming back.
This isn't Vince McMahon in the limo.
No. Yeah, fuck that.
Good Lord.
Yeah, no, right?
Just to kind of bring it
bad timing on Benoit's part too. Yeah.
Damn it, pal. That's fucked up. But
well.
But what's the favorite match or a couple of favorite matches that you've actually had?
Damn. CJ. No. Jesus, I've had that many now. It's hard to wrap my brain around them. Yeah, the tag team title match for the Russell Strong Dojo tag titles.
Mr. Commentary.
Let's see. I like.
He's going to be doing it. This guy wants you to do a play.
That's right. So shout out to Dennis the Menace in the background. Book him for your bar mitzvahs, your funerals, your weddings. I don't know.
And he doesn't knock when he enters in rooms too. So just
that's right. I'll get back to you in a second, Benny. But Wrestle Strong tag title match.
Yeah, I'd say wrestling Talif for the Super League Junior Heavyweight title was a really fun match. That was my first intergender match. So
it's awesome seeing how far she's come in.
Oh, absolutely. She's
fucking doing.
She's tearing up the scene.
Amazing things.
Oh, I could not agree more. I was super happy to work a storyline with her. My poor manager Lyle nearly got a burst eardrum at one point, which he slapped him in the face. But all in the fun.
Shout out to Lyle. He's a good dude. I've only met him one time, but he was just completely an absolute gentleman.
Oh, made it life of the party. Absolutely. Christ. If I could pick my favorite match from each territory that I've worked, but we'd be here all day.
Well, I could literally sit here and be like, your match with Chris Shadows, who's now Tom Barry.
Yeah, I was about to mention
your
that.
Your match with Dean that you mentioned before.
Yep.
Anything that you and Dozer, who's on the other side of the room, have done as Metal Militia. Me sitting in the crowd and yelling at you that you're the Nickelback of professional wrestling, which hurt me to say just as much because I actually am a Nickelback fan, but you were a heel at the time, and I'm like, I need to say something here.
That's right. And that guy that followed up with Metallica sucks and got booed. Like, come on, dude.
That one guy.
That one guy.
Like, hey, whoa. You're taking this too far.
Whoa, guy. Yeah. And I know I'm Isaac Young's favorite match from the tag team match. We did.
I'm excited. This is the first time I'm actually seeing CJ in person. I've seen a lot of stuff online the last few months. So,
who's currently doing
I'll put you over on commentary later, brother. The joys of being in a wrestling show, folks.
Yes, all the distractions. Yeah, but I can go on forever. I'm grateful for every opportunity that I've been given. Even if the match was the shits, I still take something away from it. Like, I'm definitely not working that guy again.
I've even in the short time I've been around, I've had a couple of those, and you sit there and you're like, fuck. But then you look back and you're like, you know what? We had a moment. The fans are into it to, a certain extent, like, whatever it is.
Yeah,
like,
as long as the crowd's hot,
right?
Yeah, no, as long as the crowd's hot, you're doing your job. It doesn't need to be a classic, a 5-star, if you will. As long as the crowd's into it and you don't kill them, you've done your job. Yeah.
As we segue out of this, Jake, who, again, this is going to be a tough question.
Sure.
You can have 1, 2, 5, 10, 30, I don't care. This is completely open for your interpretation. Who, both internationally and locally, are some of your dream opponents / match stipulations?
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Like, if you have an unlimited bank and you're going to book the territory and put yourself over, brother, like, who are you facing?
Well, that's a tough one. I haven't had much time to think about it, but I'm glad you put me on the spot. Internationally, and these are just fantasy matches, God, I remember one point thinking to myself, "Fuck, I'd love to wrestle Brian Danielson." That'll never happen. Let's be honest.
1000% though.
But but my God, that guy, like he knows how to tell a good story while being technical, while being strong style. He knows how to draw the emotion out of the crowd. I'd have a blast.
He's a weird
with him.
one for me. Him and Bret Hart, like I've always been really indifferent to them, to where like I'd never own like any of their merch. But like if I know they like obviously Bret hasn't wrestled since whenever, but in the time frame, if I knew like they had a big match coming up, I was still like I have to watch this. Like I've always been able to appreciate just their brilliant mindset for this.
Yeah. Oh, and a big one would be Taz in his prime. Dude, like
just dropping dudes on their fucking.
He definitely.
But not literally though.
No.
He's actually taking care of them.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's
he's definitely got the weight advantage. But man, if he wants to bring it and freaking have a good strong stiff match, fucking whatever, I'm all for it, man. Put me through a table. Dude, I don't give a shit.
Taz and Bam Bam going through the stage. Taz and Bam Bam going through the ring. Like
these are all just fantasy matches.
Like you could probably line up the entire like 97 ECW roster for Jake Gibson, and I could see any of those, to be honest.
Hell, I'll take some of their jobbers and I'll get to work them. That I'll be happy with that too.
Metal Militia versus the FBI.
Oh yeah, mate, I will bump Crazy for Nunzio any day, or Little Guido, man. Absolutely. Any guy on the scene now, man. Like, who haven't I worked? You know what? I'd be happy to just to work matches with guys I don't normally work with. And, like, there are circles out there, like, say, the New Wave Pro guys, PWA guys. If there's, like, a mid-territory where we get to, share or locker room together, it's just, I get to experience working with someone different, someone with different training experiences, and, I'd be happy with that, to be honest.
I feel that, because I obviously, I've got, like, a little list of people that, in 1 year, 2 years, however long my body decides it wants to take to heal, that I want to work, but it gets to the point where it sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but it's true. I just want to fucking wrestle, man. I feel that. Oh,
100%. I just want to fucking wrestle. And it's fun.
At the end of the day, you're good at it.
Oh, thank you.
You're not saying that. I'm saying that. No. It's all right.
Like, okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. No. And even like with going back to suplex, and like every time I've gone up there, they've given me someone who's, not brand new, but, they've had some matches, and, they work with me to learn off me, which is great. I'm working with all these new faces, but to be honest, I'm still waiting for my rematch with Spade.
I told him literally, like, again, not to break too much game there, but, he's been saying he's going to, take it down a notch in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And as I said, like, it's about roughly a 2-year time frame, and I messaged him, like, 3 days ago as we record this, and I'm like, no. I'm like, you're not hanging them up until I finally get my match, because he's been telling me for so long that he wants to work me, which for me, I'm just, as I said, I'm a mark. Yeah. But for him going out of his way to say he wants to work me, I'm like, that's a badge of honor to me. I'm like, no, you're not hanging them up until I work you.
I want my revenge, because we did a singles match at Anta, and we did this spot where, like, he does it, like, I'm on the ropes like a 619, but he comes running up from behind and knees me in the back of the head, and kayfabe knocks me out, but the promoter's like, no, don't tell anyone. So, like, we're working, everyone, the referee's confused, they drag me backstage, and like, oh my God, are you okay? And like, yeah, I'm good, man. Scared the shit out of half the guys, and, but, but like, they brought me in to just basically put him over, but like, because I was only maybe a year in at that point, but now they've got all these years under my belt, I want a fucking match.
And in a way, it's like, you could use that in a kayfabe sense.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, hey, I'm X amount of years in now, I've done this, you did this, like, I've been waiting, I've been waiting 10 years for this, brother, like, I just spat a little bit. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's
like
all right,
full getting up problem child in the camera. I could see that. And it's a story that even the most casual fan can be like, oh, this guy's going to get fucked up. Like, this guy wants revenge.
Yep. Oh, I'm definitely going down to that well and using that. Don't you worry. 100%. But it's a matter of when. So hopefully Spade. Yeah. Hint, hint. No. Nah.
Okay, brother.
Yeah. No, like, if it happens, it happens. It doesn't, it doesn't. It's okay. That's wrestling for you. You know what I mean? I'm just happy. I'm putting myself out there.
There's a dream scenario. It's like, we're in a perfect world for Jake Gibson. Yeah. Jake the person. Does he see this?
And here I am being a mark saying I want to wrestle Brian Danielson.
I mean, look.
Pop. No.
The obvious comparison that you get, and I love that you've actually trolled people online by doing this, with doing your own little countdown for like a Halloween show. I was in stitches. Even my wife was like, "This dude is fucking brilliant." Obviously, Jay Gibson versus Chris Jericho is going to sell tickets, brother.
Oh, hell yeah.
Jericho Cruise number 69, 420, something. Gibson versus Jericho in his retirement match.
Man, I could talk to old DM Tony Khan, and I'll be like, hey, we can do like, what was his name? I've gone blank. He was doing the Miz's double ganger. Oh, no,
Damian Sandow, yes.
Yeah. I could be
Mizdow,
like,
I guess he was doing.
I could do that for Jericho. I could be a fill in Jericho. Jericho doesn't want to wrestle that night, he'll send me out. I'll stick up the joint so he comes out and replaces me and does a proper match. You know what I mean?
Look, in a perfect world, if that happened, you're still going to be jobbing for like Wardlow or someone
Hell
else.
yeah.
So you can still be like, yeah, that's me, brother.
Yeah.
Gonna raise my asking price.
Well, I'm the Johnny Rods of the new millennium. Why not, bro? Why not?
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
But as we kind of wind this down, I always end these with like a non-wrestling question before we go into the plugs and yada yada yada. Obviously, you're the problem child, this, that, whatever. Music is a very big thing for you. You're one of the most intelligent people, musically minded, that I've ever met.
Oh, thank you.
Like, you and I have had conversations where, like, I've been enjoying it, and then you've just gone on this tangent, which, it's so awesome, because I'm like, whoa, this is cool, but at the same time, like, my mind is fucking blown, because I'm like, for me, like, that's like wrestling, and I'm all in for wrestling, but you somehow managed to harness wrestling and music and everything in between. So I asked one of my best mates this, and he fucking almost imploded, and he's nowhere near as much as a music buff as you are. If you had to pick one album from any artist to listen to for the rest of your life, what would it be? One album from one artist.
Oh, God.
Like, you're trapped on a deserted island with a stereo that has an unlimited battery, and that's going to either keep you sane or make you go insane.
Okay. I hope this doesn't sound too typical, because that's a tough question, but I do have a go-to, because it is a very tough question. I've somehow already thought of this. AC/DC's Back in Black.
Oh. You know what? Like, I get so much hate from music, guys, and I think you and I have had this discussion. Like, I'm a very big... I can go from country music to fucking metal at the drop of the hat, but I'm very big into rock and metal. But for some reason, AC/DC and Metallica, I've only really been drawn to their hits. I don't know what it is. I think it's just because growing up, like a lot of people was generation that was in the house. It was never in the house for me. Like, my dad was a truck driver, so it was his Slim Dusty's fucking 75th album for the 100th time. Right? He's had however many hundreds of albums in a 50-year career, but I can see that. I was expecting you to say either AC/DC or Metallica, which, some snobs will be like, oh, that's a basic bitch answer, but I can see that, because that's an album that I would sit there and, despite not being like the biggest super fan, I would sit there and I'd listen to that album. I've listened to it multiple times, over and over, and I'm just probably going to get in the mood at some point now that we've had this conversation. I'll probably be listening to it on the bus home tomorrow. Like, it's just, I can see that.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, they helped me out. Like, I discovered them as a teenager. Like, my parents had good taste in music, you know what I mean? So I knew the hits as well. But, with the invention of LimeWire,
I killed like 2 of my dad's laptops.
Was it Linkin Park Numb.exe?
Yeah, it's like that and just everything.
Everything, yeah. No, I don't know. I found a couple of their songs. I got to listen to them more and more and more. And my mum got me one of their live DVDs for Christmas one year. I'm like, it started. Then I heard. She gave me it was like a DVD set of their music videos, and I knew the Bon Scott stuff, which was good. I didn't love it, didn't hate it, but enjoyed it. You know what I mean?
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. And it's a good flow.
I feel so cringe saying that out loud, but for some reason that's what popped into my head.
They've got 5 albums where it naturally, organically builds into something a bit better each time. You know what I mean? But then disc 2 is all of the Brian Johnson stuff. Pop the disc into the DVD player, and in the menu is the Hell's Bells intro. Never heard that before in my life. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's not crazy Megadeth thrashy shit, but just...
It's got that hook, and you're just like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Look at me, Mum. I'm a rock star.
Yeah, no,
it's like those memes. Listens to AC/DC once, and it's Jay Gibson throwing up like the metal signs.
No, but that's what I think. That's what led me into hearing that song. Made me a diehard fan, and I bought a Gibson SG because that's what Angus Young plays. Got me
Hence where the-
full blown into
the
playing
name Jay
guitar.
Gibson came
Jay
from.
Gibson, yeah, literally like
Fun fact.
Because I'm sitting in my room one day and thinking, oh, what's my name gonna be? I don't know. Jake what? Jake something. Jake, and I'm looking at my guitar. Gibson, bang, just like that.
It was kind of funny because I caught you just as I was really like, 'cause I knew some of like the bigger stars. Like I knew like Robbie Eagles and Ryan Eagles and TNT, and I'd heard Ken Dunlop's name through him from back in the day and whatever. But I didn't really know much. Mark Mercedes is another one, but I didn't really know much about Aussie wrestling until I really started getting in to ICW, which is around the time that you kind of were breaking in your rookie years yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing the name Jake Gibson, and literally my first thought was like, here we go, like another rock star. And I think I've told you this before, and then I seen like your first, like, I don't know if it was your first promo, but it was your first like proper promo, if that makes sense, where like you'd finally like got the gimmick and you're like, you're in the music studio and you're like, you're gonna like, it's gonna be a smash hit and like I'm gonna have a mosh pit on you, like all these like music puns and stuff. But I was just like, this dude is fucking awesome. I hadn't even seen him wrestle yet, and like obviously meeting you and seeing you work, I'm like, it just makes so much sense. I'm like,
No, well, I mean, at the time, it was funny because those are TNT-isms. You know, the gimmicks, always going to play up the gimmicks. You know, if you're doing a rockstar gimmick,
you're
you
gonna
got
get caught in a crossfire. Fuck, I cringe every time I say that. Like, I'm a sucker for a good pun, but like, I think it's just because I hate putting myself over because anxiety, depression, ADHD, whatever. But
I remember like, we did. Oh, jeez. Well, don't get me wrong, man. Like in high school, and we did the speeches and stuff like that. I was terrified. I was trembling.
100%.
You know? Yeah, but now it's a whole different ballgame. But
like, I stutter when I'm doing solo episodes. You give me a live mic tonight, I'm gonna go out there and people are gonna be like, this dude needs to shut the fuck up.
Same actually. I don't know how that happened, but I'm glad it did. You can never shut me up when I'm holding a microphone. But like, there just came a point where like doing promo classes with AWF when I was breaking in. They were like, I remember Greg telling me like TNT telling me like, oh, I'm gonna kick you in your heart-shaped box. You know, Nirvana part. I'm like, okay, it works because I don't know any better.
Yes.
Because it's a good placeholder. You know,
It is a fantastic line though, and it's like, it all comes down to the delivery, and I feel like...
Because like, I do find a level there where you can get away with it, but then if it's too much, it's cringe, because it's too gimmicky.
The amount of like song lyrics that I've snuck into promos that people haven't noticed, I have been so fucking proud of.
Yeah.
Because it's just like this, like, because obviously it's not my gimmick, so I can't hammer it home as much as you do, but I'm like, I'll just like slip like a little Johnny Cash line or something in there, and then people will be like, oh, that was a really good line, and I'm like, I'm too honest for my own good. I'm like, oh yeah, I ripped it from like this song, like whatever.
Well, I mean, now my promos basically consist these days of "Shut up, you stupid bogan," and you know, Jake Gibson's the best.
I'm interested in seeing how this is going to work tonight. Again, Metal Militia, they're huge baby faces, and I love again. That's just a natural thing. Like again, he's on the other side of the room; he can hear me. I'm not just talking shit like blowing smoke. Like the moment I went to the first PWG show, and that was the thing before it became Honor Wrestling, when I'm sitting in the crowd, I see Metal Militia, I'm like, this is the best, like this is fucking genius. It just works so well, and I've never seen Dozer work heel either, but working off you, he did a fantastic job. So seeing Metal Corey, who, he has a chair, it's not as cool as mine, mine's painted, I did it myself. We might compare chair sizes later when he comes out, who knows. But, seeing MBO and Metal Militia, that in itself makes so much sense.
Oh hell yeah, man! It's not even going to be a clash of styles, man. It's going to be an all-out brawl. It's going to be fun. It's going to be physical. You name it, man. Hopefully the crowd's rowdy for this one, because man, we are not going to hold back. We have like tag team titles are on the line, you know. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to
absolutely.
it. I'll try my best to do it justice and help put you over, brother, on the mic.
Appreciate it.
But like, you know, usually like, this is the first podcast I've done in a month now, after doing 70 straight weeks, just due to health and life and everything in between. I usually put that out on Sundays because I'm traveling tomorrow. I'll probably put it out this coming Monday to record this. But obviously the event's going to happen by then. But for the sake of it, do you have any final words for Meta Builds Only with their knockoff NWO logo? I can't talk.
I don't think they heard that.
The Rogue logo isn't obvious, and NWO ripoff as well.
Any logo,
but I
really.
designed it myself, and I was very proud of it.
Funnily enough, I was at the Yo Loco. It's a local restaurant. Yeah. I was looking at their wrestling logo. It's black and white. It's got a border, and it's got the positioning. I'm like, that reminds me of something.
I've literally basically ripped off the NWO logo, and the mindset is taking the Heenan family from back in the 80s and smushing it together with like a Wyatt family or a Sanity in NXT. That's the goal anyway. But any final words for NWO tonight?
Well,
and obviously, by the time they've heard this, obviously you've beaten them and you've retained the titles.
I can talk
and
stuff down
whatever
there.
else.
You know what? I see them as two of the most promising up-and-coming guys around, definitely Western Sydney. Tonight, they're going to prove whether they can hold up to their reputation. They might not win, but they definitely still already have my respect. I expect them to bring it 100%. But I'm sorry, at the end of the day, Metal Militia's gonna get this one.
You're going to go to ICW_Australia on Instagram and you're going to see the hashtag and still.
And still, brother.
Metal Militia.
Didn't even need to politic my way into that one. No.
As we wrap it up, Jake, what are your social medias, merch stores, whatever?
Simple. I'm mainly on the Facebook one. It's just Jake Gibson.
It's like, what do you call it? A hyphen. That's the word.
Yeah, for the
Jake Gibson hyphen
is
pro wrestler. I can't think of the actual link.
I think so. A hyphen or a dash or what do you call it? Just look me up that way. The direct link is just Jake Gibson KOD. That used to stand for a move I used to hit, but I scrapped it. So I should probably update my
You
handle.
got rid of the kick of destiny?
Kick it, yeah.
Bro, I was looking forward to calling that. It's the kick of destiny.
Don't tempt them. One of them might want to take it, so we'll see.
I'm just glad because I started doing the radiation kick afterwards, which was very similar. So thanks for letting me steal your shit by proxy.
Oh, that's all right. You can have it, mate. Don't worry. I don't want it anymore. No. My Instagram is
Jake Gibson _.
Oh, it's
your shoot last name.
It's my shoot last name, yeah, because I couldn't decide whether it was going to be.
I can't pronounce it.
Oh, it's Rentoul.
Rentoul, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, is it Rentoul or Rentoul?
No, it's
Are you calling me a tool? No. Jake Gibson _Rentoul. I'll remember to link it all. Do you have merch, like wrestling merch, pro wrestling tees, anything like that?
Nothing online. I've got like a little shoppy thing on my Facebook, but everything you want that just come to a live show.
Come to a show and buy a shirt. I have
on the merch desk, people.
I actually have two Jake Gibson shirts. Actually, I have one in my cupboard that I can wear, and another one that my younger brother grew out of, and it's actually in my crash test dummy.
Ah.
So every time I drop an elbow, I guess I'm effectively dropping an elbow on Jake Gibson and whoever's other's merchandise I've chucked in there that doesn't fit anymore.
Well, it's okay. It's good target practice, I guess. Just picture my face and then go for it. Yeah.
But yeah, we've gone for nearly an hour, which is way longer than I intended. I hope I haven't taken you from too long for
all right.
trying to get ready and
like you said, I can't shut you up and you can't shut me up, so it was just going to happen.
And this has been a long time coming. Like I'm not trying to blow smoke. I've got a list on my phone. There's like God knows how many other people that I want to talk to that I just haven't got around to putting on the list. You were one of the very first people that I put on that list and have been since before I even started the podcast. I was like, okay, in a perfect world, who would I, talk to? And hopefully trying to get some more, obviously you're interstate, but I'm hoping to try and get more Canberra guys on and stuff and try and help ICW as much as we can because, we've got the Wrestle Strong guys, the Suplex guys are starting to join in. We've really stepped it up in the last couple of years, which I'm really proud of because, let's face it, it's no secret to put it out there. We weren't doing too good. We've recovered and it's really awesome and
No, it's good to see a lot of guys use ICW as a platform. Obviously they might not be here every month. It's just something for them to try and they take advantage of opportunities. So, that itself is great. I took advantage of an opportunity when it was given to me down here, and I've been appreciative ever since. That's why I keep coming down.
And I can't remember which episode or episodes, but I have actually put you over on a couple of episodes because
thanks.
I don't want to break kayfabe too much, but at the end of the day, it is a podcast. You were the first person that really, I had so many people teach me how to do working punch.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been like a lot of fights in my life, but any fight that I did get in school, I'd win. I would never start it, but I'd finish it. So I just couldn't fathom just not knocking some dude's fucking head off. And I've put you over so many times that you were like, no, dude, like just breathe, do it this way. And my punches have never looked better. So hopefully in 2 years' time when I come back, I can remember how to do it. Otherwise, I'll be like calling you up like, hey.
Boy, if you need to practice,
I appreciate that. I really do. I
that's all
appreciate
right, man.
that.
I'm always happy to give advice if that,
And
you know.
like promos again. I was just handing him the tag title here. I wish I had the camera set up here just so I could be like, look at how fucking shiny this thing is. But like this, the advice that you've given me and you've given other people from, secondhand advice that you've learned from people like Dean Draven and even TNT, Sa, whatever. It's very much appreciated. Like every time, it hasn't happened often, but on the odd occasion that I have been asked, what do you want to do and blah blah blah. It's a cop out answer, but I want to leave this, better than I can. And even the current crop of rookies we have, I've somehow gotten to a point where I'm never going to consider myself a veteran. And even at this point, I'm definitely not there, even if I was going to be. But they're coming to me and to me to look at you guys, and you've done the same for me. I appreciate that you've kind of carried that on. That was a bit of a rant, but I wanted to say that just while we were recording, so like, you can come back and like document that I'm looking at you like it's a genuine thing. Like professional wrestling has always been my vice, if you will. Like had a bit of a drinking problem when I was younger. I got over that. I have the odd occasion one, but professional wrestling keeps me sane, and having guys like you continue to make it better and more fun and all the bells and whistles. Mate, I 100% appreciate that.
No, 100% appreciate that. I do appreciate you saying that. It's just, even I'm here trying to forget all the crap I've got going on. You know what I mean? Like, why be in a toxic locker room when there's already enough crap I've got to deal with? So I'm always going to be an open ear. I'm always going to, if anyone needs advice, by all means, I'm not going to go and force my advice on someone or my opinions on someone. Like, they'll come to me if they want it. I'm always here just trying to make a locker room a better place.
And, you're going to get constructive criticism every now and then because he's a brutally honest person. Take it or leave it.
No. Well, I mean...
Because, I've had a few people go, that was shit.
Yeah.
And you've been one of the few that's like, hey, that wasn't, the best, or that was good, but maybe try this. And you've always been really good with constructive feedback, but while still, remaining brutally honest. So I just appreciate that before the doors are opening in 5 minutes. So I'll wrap this up. Yep. We've got I was meant to interview young Bodie as well, who just won the Canberra title at the last show, but he's just going to have to go to the back of the line, brother.
Wait your turn, Bodie. Be a long time. I'll be on the next episode.
But thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was the Problem Child, current hashtag by the time this goes out, and still one half of the ICW Tag Team Champions, Metal Militia. Thank you very much, Jake.
Pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you.
All right, I really hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Jake as much as I did. Could have kept talking to Jake, honestly, for hours. I have no doubt that I will have Jake back on at some point, just to mark out about pretty much anything and everything. And I can't wait to continue to see where his career continues to go. He's a very smart man for the business. He has a very good passion for the business, as you just heard. And at the tail end of that conversation, as you just heard, someone who, I'd have a genuine admiration and a whole lot of respect for. Make sure you guys check out the episode description for all the links to Jake's social medias. Go to a show that he's on so you can buy some merch. Speaking of social media and merch, of course, as always, check the link tree below for all of my socials, my merch, and even my Amazon wishlist if for whatever reason you feel so inclined. My new friends over at MXW have their first official show as a professional company coming up on January 28th, 2023 in Horsham, Victoria, featuring Richie Taylor versus Charlie Rose in the main event. And ICW Australia will kick off their 2023 on February 4th with All Fired Up. The link to both of those events' Facebook event pages will be below as well. Follow those for match card and ticket sale updates. The song of the week this week was Shoot the Thrill by AC/DC. The match of the week this week was Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman versus the Dudley Boys at ECW One Night Stand 2005. Thank you once again to Jake Gibson for coming on. As I said, have no doubt he'll be back on at some point. I am the Essential John L. Crossfire, and you were just caught in conversation.